Hey everyone, Jay Adams here from Denver Water, and in this video we're going to talk about sheet mulching. Sheet mulching is an environmentally friendly way to get rid of grass and weeds in your yard, and also helps improve the soil for planting. Sheet mulching works by covering up your grass with organic material. It's nicknamed lasagna gardening because it's done by adding layers of nitrogen-rich materials called greens and carbon-rich materials called browns. The pile is covered with a finishing layer of mulch and topsoil. Over time, the materials will compost into a rich topsoil that's great for growing vegetables, flowers, and plants. So there's a lot of variations on how to sheet mulch, but here's a few basic guidelines for you. So first you'll have to round up all of your green and then the brown materials. Green materials are rich in nitrogen and include things like grass clippings, fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, compost, and manure. Brown materials are rich in carbon. Some examples are small wood chips, straw, dried leaves, bark nuggets, cardboard, and newspaper. You'll also need to add a finishing layer. This consists of topsoil, compost, and mulch. So here's the cardboard and our newspaper, and these are really important because these are going to act as our weed barrier. If you're using cardboard, use plain brown pieces and not ones that are dyed. Remove any tape or staples, and don't use any cardboard that has wax or glossy coating on it. And for newspaper, don't use any of those glossy inserts. So now that we've got all these materials, let's go prep the site. First, mow the grass as low as possible. Then mark off any sprinkler heads and cap them if they will no longer be needed. Next, create a boundary by digging down below your edging or sidewalk. You can also line the area with bricks or other landscape materials, and that will keep everything from spilling out. And finally, water down the grass thoroughly with a hose. All right, we are ready to get going, and we're going to start off with our weed barrier, and I'm going to be using cardboard for this project. Just place the cardboard over the grass and make sure they overlap by a few inches, and that's so the sun can't get through. Then wet it down so it stays in place. This also helps the cardboard naturally break down. And if you're using newspaper, make sure to put down about 6 to 10 layers so it's thick enough to keep those weeds down and the sun out. So now that our cardboard weed barrier is down, we're going to add our first green layer, and that goes right on top of the cardboard. I've got some grass clippings, veggie scraps, and coffee grounds, along with some compost and manure. Make it about 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. Then spray it down with water so it stays in place. So next up is going to be our brown layer, and this is going to go right on top of the green layer. So I've got some wood chips, some straw, some bark nuggets, and some leaves. And when you put this down, it should be about 2 to 3 inches high. Water the pile again to help hold it down and to help with the decomposition. So now that we've added a layer of greens and a layer of browns, we're going to do this whole process over again. So we'll add another layer of our greens, again 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep. We'll spray it down. Add another layer of browns, 2 to 3 inches deep, and then spray it all down. It's important to remember to have those brown layers 2 to 3 times thicker than the green layers. Okay, we are almost done. The only thing left now is to put on our finishing layer. This is a mix of topsoil, compost, and mulch. This mixture will help block any weeds from growing on the top and keep everything in place. Once we've added all that, we'll wet the pile again thoroughly with water. Well, here it is. This is our finished pile. And don't worry so much about how high it is, because over time this is going to decompose and it'll shrink down. So how do you know when it's time to plant in this mixture? Well, the composting process is a slow one, and experts recommend waiting about 6 months before planting in it. You'll know the pile is ready when the layers have decomposed to the point where you can no longer recognize the original materials. So once it's reached that point, you'll just plant right into the mixture. Now let's look at the pros and cons of sheet mulching. As for the pros, sheet mulching does a great job of improving soil health. It's also a great option for turning a grassy area into a vegetable garden. You don't have to dig up and haul away any old sod. You get to reuse organic materials instead of throwing them into a landfill. and no herbicides are needed to kill the grass. So now let's look at the cons of sheet mulching. The biggest drawback is that it's a slow process. You'll need to let the pile sit for around 6 months before planting in it. It also takes time to gather all the materials. Another downside is that the pile of materials does look a little unsightly, especially if it's in your front yard. And sheet mulching doesn't work so well on areas with a slope. You can sheet mulch any time of year, but a lot of people like to do it in the fall. That's because you can collect your grass clippings when you mow over the summer and then collect leaves in the fall. Also, the materials can compost during the winter months, and that makes it so the pile is ready for planting come springtime. If it's a dry winter, add some water to the pile now and then to help with the decomposition process. If you do end up being low on materials, try to make the pile at least 4 inches deep in total for the composting to work. And remember, while some plants prefer nutrient-rich soil, there are some water-wise plants that don't. So just consider what type of plants you're planting before you decide to sheet mulch. Well, those are some of the basics on how to sheet mulch. And remember, if you're looking for other ways to remove grass, check out our videos on physical removal and solarization. And don't forget, we've got more landscaping tips at denverwater.org/conserve.